we going to talk about today? Of course, game one of the NBA Finals. As we sit now on the hot topic of the day, Toronto, Teddy, sits in the driver's seat after the game one victory. Siakam, Leonard, Gasol combined for 75 points. Fred VanVleet comes off the bench to drop 15 more. The Raptors, Teddy, shot 50% from the field, which includes 40% from three-point range. They didn't do a lot wrong last night. That's why they had the lead in the series.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Toronto played about as well as they can play. And the game was still in doubt in the fourth quarter until the Raptors put together yet another run to control the contest. The quotes after the game really stand out, Let's talk from Golden State first. Klay Thompson, our goal was to get one, and it's still on the table for us, so I know we'll respond like the champions that we are. Draymond Green, quote, we didn't play very well tonight at all, and we still had a chance the entire game. And it was a great atmosphere. This is a team or a city or a country that hasn't seen a finals ever here, so we expect it to be a great atmosphere, and it was. But we can still play better. I know we will. Our transition D was horrible. You give guys those type of shots and they get comfortable, it's a different beast. Steph Curry, you can't give Siakam any dare shots. You can't give him any straight line drives to the basket. That's just an effort thing we can all be more mindful of. And look, Siakam was a difference maker last night. He was the best player on the floor for extended stretches. And that's what Toronto needs if they're going to compete and win this series. Of course, total-wise, last night, the pace was relatively slow, but the rest were calling fouls, and both teams were making free throws. 56 of 63 from the free throw line, throwing 25 made threes, and the game went over despite an under pace.
Yep, no doubt about it. Threes and free throws certainly to help that out. The one thing I was waiting for, Teddy, is we never really got that true Golden State run that we figured we would get between the third and the fourth quarter where they would go on maybe a 10-0 run and take the lead. Credit Toronto for actually countering that. If we take a look upcoming, Teddy, we're going to review the game a little bit later, but just getting a quick preview price. Opened up this morning at -1.5, Toronto the favorite, and now sitting at 2 at most outlets here at SBRodds.com. Interesting to you, Teddy?
So I don't get shocked by openers very often. I really don't. I was shocked by this opener. I thought Golden State would come the favorite for game 2, and I thought they'd take money. I thought it'd be Warriors -1.5, -2 at the opener, and maybe -3 at the close. The wise guys really like the Raptors in this series, and that is clearly evidenced by the game 2 point spread, a game that we'll preview in just a few minutes right here on That Betting Show.
Talk a little bit of scoring in Major League Baseball, Teddy. How about those bats come alive in the Trop? The Rays put up 2 touchdowns versus those Twins, and we're talking about Martin Perez having a reinvention of his pitching mechanics there this year, having a good season. Well, it certainly stopped there down in Tropicana Field. Went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 6 earned runs in the loss. How about Austin Meadows for the Rays, Teddy? 4 RBIs, raised the seasonal average to 361. Morton comes out and cools off the bats of the Twins. 7 innings, 4 hits, and 2 earned runs. Nice win. And again, both of these teams are really good squads. Nice win by the by the Rays last night.
Yeah, and the Marlins are playing pretty good ball too, but yesterday was all about Perez, who has been great and who was not great yesterday. His quote, one of the bad outings, it's going to happen, we're not perfect, which, I mean, that's the truth, but you don't want your pitcher to say that. And Morton, on the other hand, I felt pretty good. I thought I had all my pitches working. The guys swung the bat awesome. They played awesome defense behind me. It was a great game all around. A lot of Minnesota's hot start has come against bottom feeders. The AL Central is garbage this season. Minnesota's been blowing them off the field. As they step up in class, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Twins cool down. We saw some of that yesterday at the Trop in Tampa.
Yep, we'll take a look at a little bit more Major League Baseball a bit later in the show here on Watch What You Bet. Let's take a look at some action here now, Teddy. It's never too early to talk football. You know me and Teddy have been going over on That Betting Show NFL teams day by day, but let's talk a little bit of college football, a little bit of a national holiday, so to speak, out there in Las Vegas as the Golden Nugget releases their 100 Game of the Year lines. Now, we see some of the bigger games, to open the season, Miami and Florida, Auburn, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, and even down to the Army versus Navy game. The one question I have, Teddy, because I know you have a pretty good background on this, but we could talk about finding value in these games, even if we don't really know what the depth chart is, because I know a lot of people are betting these, and a lot of these lines are already on the move.
Yeah, I mean, again, don't be fooled by the line moves. It doesn't take many bets to move a line significantly. And I'm going to go through a whole bunch of them right here, where the early money said, all right, you're slightly off on this team, you're slightly off on that team. We're going to pound this line into the shape that we think that it should be in. But in terms of super strong opinions from bettors, no, it's not there just yet. Let's talk about some of the big moves. November 6th, Utah at Washington. The Utes opened 8-point dogs. Now they're 5.5-point dogs. Money coming against Washington. Money coming for Houston. Washington State -10 to -7. And Iowa State pick 'em to Cyclones -3. Ohio State money going against them in both the Nebraska game and the Michigan State game. Money for TCU against Texas. Money for Houston. A couple games where money's coming against for Houston against UCF. Georgia took money against Florida, and on down the line. I mean, there's a ton of these. And this is something the Nuggets been doing, since 2007. The South Point, with Chris Andrews' health problems, they have not put up early lines this year. They'll put up lines at some point, but right now it's the Nuggets party, and yesterday was kind of a wise guy holiday. If you're in Vegas, if you ever get the chance to be in Vegas for one of these opening events where the lines come out, whether it's Super Bowl props or college football games of the year or whatever it is, it's kind of cool to go and hang out and watch the biggest and best bettors in the world lay down bet after bet after bet attacking the opening numbers.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because you do see, some margin and movement there. But as we know, the recreational bettor is not probably going to bet the game till the week of the game or maybe even the day of the game. Real quick, Teddy, when you take a look at betting some of this all-season stuff, just from your perspective, if you were to place a wager on a college football game this early in the season, what are some of the things you look for? Is it coaches getting their teams prepared for, how well they open up against, or how well they played against top 20 competition? Is there any little tidbits that you might be able to give to say, you know what, if I'm looking at a game, here's what I want to see early in the season?
There is one reason to make a bet now as opposed to waiting until August or September or the week the game is going to be played. The only reason to make a bet now is because you see a line that you don't think is going to be there, and then you jump on it, especially when that line's around a key number. When it's around 3s and 7s, you grab the 7.5 or you lay the 2.5. That's the only reason. Otherwise, there's not any urgency to get involved in these numbers. And that's why after the initial flurry, you're going to see a bunch of these lines move. The first 24 hours are a little bit crazy. After that, they kind of sit there all summer. So if it's not, they'll move slowly, but there's no one day that all of a sudden you see, oh, wow, a whole bunch of lines just moved. No, so it really comes down to, is there a number that I want to get now that I don't think is going to be there? And it's definitely worth noting, when the markets start moving one way on or against a certain team, it tends to stay moving in that direction until proving otherwise. So if you saw a little line move on a game you're interested in, maybe you get on board now because you can anticipate there may be more money following that initial line move.
Yep, betting the lines, Teddy, not betting the teams necessarily this early in the season. We'll see how some of these numbers shake out, but it is fun. It's almost like the opening day of college football season. We're on a march towards opening day here on That Betting Show with SportsbookReview.com, but we have a little bit of NFL to talk about, Teddy. And, you take a big, deep breath here and you exhale and you say, you know what? We're going to talk about those New England Patriots. What's new, Teddy? Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl champions, high team total coming into the season, 7-1, Teddy, as a ticket to win the 2019 championship, 3-1 to win the AFC, and that team totals we just talked about a few moments ago, 11 set at DraftKings at New Jersey. The Patriots finished 11-5 last year, 5-1 in the AFC, and Teddy, I got to tell you, it seems like it's their birthright for the New England Patriots to go at least 5-1 or 6-0 in the division, get that home playoff game, and here they are showing up again in the Super Bowl. Another year, another dollar for those Patriots, as we like to say. Tom Brady and the Patriots, won a lower scoring game, 13-3, lose Gronkowski in the offseason, get another tight end suspended. But finally, Bill Belichick wakes up and says, you know what? I'm going to draft some weapons here early in the draft, and picks up Tom Brady, a wide receiver, N'Keal Harry out of Arizona State. Edelman comes back with a new contract. Demaryius Thomas, he is coming off a significant injury to his Achilles, but it's one of those low-risk, high-reward type things where if he's ready to go and maybe can compete for the back half of the season, you get a little bit of a steal. And the one thing I like to look personally, Teddy, at when you're getting off to a good start in the NFL, New England opens up with Pittsburgh at home, followed by at Miami, the Jets at Buffalo, at Washington, and then home against the Giants. They're primed and ready for a quick start right off the bat, Teddy.
Sure. And of course, when we talk about the Patriots season win total, there's no other team like them. Since Belichick arrived in New England, 19 years, 19 full seasons as the Patriots head coach, 4 times the under is cashed. And really, one of those you could have pushed with. 3 if you shopped around. Not a lot of unders for the Patriots season wins, obviously, in the modern era. And that has everything to do with the division that they play in. We look at the schedule for New England. Last year, say, oh my God, the Patriots are good every year. How do they have a slightly easier than average schedule? This year, They have the easiest schedule in the NFL, and it's not even that close based on this year's season win totals, because they get to face the Bills twice and the Dolphins twice and the Jets twice every year. And frankly, those three franchises have all been pretty inept since Belichick arrived in New England. So advantage Patriots. All right. This was a very impactful offseason for New England. You know, you have the owner getting involved in a prostitution scandal, arrested. You have the defense coordinator going and taking the job in Miami. You have Gronk retiring. You have Trey Flowers leaving. Brown on the offensive line saying bye-bye. And yet, you look at the Patriots going into the season, and you say, yeah, they're chalk again. This is a team that the wise guys do not respect. 0.2 yards per play edge last year. That's not the stat they're looking for. That's slightly better than average. They were minus 0.6 yards every time they rushed the football compared to what their opponents. They didn't run the ball well. They didn't stop the run that well. Brady's QB rating last year, reasonable, 97.7. Opposing QBs had an 85. And 97.7 is very good, but it's not a Tom Brady ridiculous season. They were plus 10 in turnovers. And again, last year, a slightly easier than average schedule. This year, that schedule gets even easier. But, obviously the losses that they suffer, you lose Gronk. You don't replace Gronk. Trey Flowers, difficult to replace. Trent Brown, obviously difficult to replace. Free agency, they were fairly quiet, And when you let a team take away your best pass rusher, and your left tackle, you wonder about that. That being said, last year's first-round pick was Isaiah Wynn. He's going to come in and replace Brown. We talk about bringing in someone like Bennett. He's an upgrade. Every bit as good as Flowers was. Gronk, you can't make up, but on the other hand, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, let's see what he can do. Maybe he's the next Gronk, just waiting to happen. Patriots, once again, look like a very serious Super Bowl contender and not a team that I'm looking to bet under their season win total.